Islam, peace and greetings. So today the recording is done on Holy Day. Today I wanted to do like a story time. I had something that came to mind that I ain't never really spoke about. It's in regards to RV Bay publications. And this was, I would say, 2013, 2012, 2013, 2014. So I moved to an apartment complex, and it was a real bad place. It was called Bellwood. And right in front of the apartment complex, it was a plaza. It had like a Roses, a laundromat. It had, a little smoke shop. It had a Save-A-Lot little grocery store, and all of it had Wi-Fi. The laundromat, everybody would go down from the apartment building and get the laundry and take their laundry and do it and all that. Well, at the apartment I was at that time, I had no Wi-Fi, no internet, no nothing. And Blog Talk was coming on. So what I would do is I would go down like 9:30, 10, they would come on. So I would go down to the plaza and download the Blog Talks for a couple of days and then go back up to the apartment and listen to them, So one night I'm standing down there, but what's messed up is it'd be so cold and I'd download a couple. And then on my way back, say I got back to the apartment and I found out that it only downloaded halfway. So then I'd have to go. That's how dedicated I was. So I'd go back down there. I say it was maybe 2 football fields of a walk, maybe a football field, maybe. So one night I'm standing down there, it's like 11 and they're doing a live. So I'm listening. It probably got to be around 11:30 and they got done or whatever. And I'm walking back, and behind the plaza, you walk through a little walkway and you go to the apartment complex. So I'm walking back and like 3 or 4 police cars pull up all fast with their lights on and they jump out. I got like 2 phones on me because I'm downloading and I'm listening to Mother Anaida and Mother Roz Mariah Bay. So like 3 cars run up on me. He straight grabs me, start going through my pockets. And I'm like, you can't search me. He was like, I don't need no consent, F you or whatever. So he goes through, he's asking me why I got so many devices on me. I told him I'm just down there downloading some stuff on Wi-Fi. And this was right after I did 2 months. The first time I had giving officer false name and they dismissed. Then a couple months later, they did it again. But I went to trial for it and showed where they dismissed and everything, and they still found me guilty. So I said I did 60 days. So one time they dismissed, the next time I did 60 days. When I got out of there is when I moved to this apartment complex. So I just got out of the 60 days for saying I'm Latif. I can scream it to the heavens, For those that know what it is, you can scream it to the heavens, I'm Latif Bey, and it's not going to do nothing. He said I could scream it to Allah. So they run up on me and they're like, who are you or whatever? I'm not identifying. So finally I say, I'm Latif Ibn Bey. So they look it up and they're like, man, that ain't your name or whatever. They was like Latif Ibn Bey. They was like Latif Ibn Bey, also known as, and they gave the nomen, Robert Dale Wright. So they're like, all right. So then they go ahead, give me my stuff back, and they get back in their stuff and they leave. And off of that adrenaline and off of that honor, I still told them I'm Latif Ibn Bey. Even if they was going to charge me that night, and I was going to go through all that stuff again, I just told them I'm Latif Ibn Bey, and they went ahead and put it as an alias so-called, because they knew I was going to go all the way through trial and do all of that. So off of that feeling, I walked back up to the apartment building. I sat down, put my headphones on, and started listening to Mother Anaida and Mother Roz put it down with the jurisprudence. And I sit there and I stood on my square that night too. And I'm sitting there in the dark, just sitting there knowing that I'll stand on my square. And I'm listening to Mother Anaida. That's what we stand on when you see all these Moors in unity together. Because we all listen to these so-called blog talks and all of these teachings that was put out throughout the cosmos. And we know how to do it. It's not like I'm trying to be a teacher. I've watched 10 Moors make mistakes in front of mothers, and I watched how they handled it and corrected them. I realized early the paramount importance of the right words, of jurisdiction, always speaking the right words. And it's very easy once that's your language, and that's how I speak. My words are the right words. I stay lawful at all times with my intelligent tongue, indeed, because their words, they study every single nook and cranny of a word. Straight off of that feeling, I sat down and got to listen to Mother Anaida and them, and I absorb and I took in everything over and over again, you know. I listened to Moors come in there and make a fool of themselves, and I've listened to Moors come in there and get corrected, and I watched them grow and unfold, and now they're very sharp scimitard Moors, very sharp scimitard Moors. So there's unity with that, because there's thousands of them through RV Bay Publications. You don't have no idea. There's thousands of us, and that is unity. When Noble Drew Ali was talking about all them secretaries, if that was any time for real, that was RV Bay, through connected with the Moor Science Temple of America too. They wasn't just connected with Taj, they was connected with Moors who are grand sheiks of the Moor Science Temple of America. So when they're putting out these publications, and they're also putting out cards, or if you want to say declarations or proclamations, actually they're in direct connection with the Moor Science Temple of America. It's just like Noble Drew Ali contracting with a printing company to put out the Quran. It ain't like, oh, that Quran didn't come from Noble Drew Ali. No. Moor Science Temple contracted RV Bay to do publications. Nobody assisted Moors with their proclamations, with proclaiming their nationality, more than RV Bay publication. And go look what Moor Science Temple's connected with that. That Moor Science Temple of America has nationalized more Moors than any other Moor Science Temple of America. Go look at the numbers, man. RV Bay proclamation helped Moors declare their nationality more than any other institution. And there's one Moor Science Temple that's connected with that. So that Moor Science Temple is the elite because they assisted the most in proclamations. Go look at them. So, I mean, you can say it how you want. All them secretaries was needed for RV Bay publication. So I wanted to give my testimony in regards to my story with RV Bay, because there's many nights I stood out there in the cold and downloaded and listened to blog talk radios, you know, just like when I was talking about when I was kidnapped and I blew trial and did the 2 months. They had me down in the hole, and I'm down there in the hole on the payphone with Fontaine. He's accepting my collects and everything, man. I'm down there in the hole talking to Fontaine L. You know who that is? I don't think you have no idea who that is. That's how far I go back. I go back to sitting down talking in the hole on the payphone with Fontaine L, the master teacher for real. Then a few days go by, and then they let me out. Then a couple days after that, they took me to the property room. I was able to open up my book bag and bring all of my stuff, all of my papers and everything, Quran 101, Constitution, all of my papers. I had the whole dorm table full of lawful materials. People was coming up asking to borrow stuff like child support, ex parte Davis. People was coming up copying stuff with their little pencil word for word. I remember a brother came up to me and was like, man, can I copy this down? I bring it down. And he straight copied that. I sit there and watched him, man, over there. He sat there and wrote all that down word for word, because it lets you know, man, that it's unconstitutional. However, people must keep their house in order. The prophet gave that law. But in regards to that, he copied it for word. Yeah, man, I come from the time of in the hole speaking on the payphone with Fontaine L. So don't forget that, man. I sat down under that fez, man, and I put my life at risk many times. Indeed. You remember in the video with Asir, Duke of Tears, when he runs into that European and he puts the fez on, he's like, I had a lot of weird things happen to me. That stuff is true. Like when I went to that jail, soon a Moor came in where I used to work before I went into that jail. He is Tobias L, and we sent his proclamation and everything in. I broke it down to him, all of the nationality and all that, and he proclaimed and declared his nationality. Within 2 weeks, he was in there in the next pod next to me. Then there was Ralph L, who I assisted declaring and proclaiming his nationality when he was in there. Then there was an Asiatic. I'll call him West, I'll call him West. But this man looked exactly like Noble Drew Ali, dead up like Noble Drew Ali, and it was scary. But he was straight sleep. Like I let him know about the science and everything, broke down the caste system, and he got all that. But you could just tell he was just off in his head, man. He was slower, you know what I'm saying? But he looked dead up like Noble Drew Ali. with the Quran, and I'd be with a Moor, and we'd look down at the Quran and look up at him, and he'd be like, man, y'all stop that, man. But he knew it looked just like him too, though. Then there was an older Asiatic who said he was a Maroon, and I was breaking it down to him, and he got it when I said Moor-roon. That's the only way he got it, and then it clicked to him. But he was in his Christian ways in regards to the Abyssinians and all of that. But he was an elder, and he called himself a Maroon. He knew about Malcolm X. He knew about Don't Call El Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X. He knew about that too. And when he heard me speaking about that, he knew I was on the right stuff. But then when I said Maroon, then he got it. But he was still Christian, but it is what it is. He knew he was a Moor. So then I stayed in that pod for a while until they came and wanted to give me a tuberculosis shot. And I wasn't about to let them stick me with no needle. So they came and put me in the hole again. And then weeks later, I got out and I lost like 35 pounds. They didn't let me use the phone then to call Fontes, because I'd have been calling again. Because I know he fired them up with Ritz the first time. But yeah, fruition is the best because you live it. You can hear about something and believe it. You can hear about something and maybe see a little bit of it and have some faith. But when you live it and you have the fruition and you see things that happen that is beyond the numerical odds, that's fruition. When you know things like, like the Moor Tobias that came in there. We was just hanging out at work. We was just printing out hundreds and thousands of writs for other Moors, putting out copies and copies and copies. Like we was just together as Moors. And I'll say that again, we was together spiritually as Moors. And then we ended up in positions where we was in jail together. We didn't get in the same pod, but I thought he was, because he ended up slamming this big Samoan guy on his head, and he got in big trouble for that while he was in there. But hey, when you are in there, you got to do what you got to do, man. People ain't trying to live by no love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. They'll disrespect you, and you got to do what you got to do sometimes. So I just wanted to give a little testimony in regards to RV Bay, because I don't think people really realized the energy and the way it felt back in those days when people was putting out information and we was going over and doing reviews of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. I don't think you understand. For the Quran, weeks and weeks and weeks at a time, these mothers going over every single word, defining, going to Black's Law, going to Bouvier's, and just going over everything. And there was thousands of people that was sitting there listening to these mothers, and we're all still united today. The ones that, I know you say they're the few, but there's still thousands of them though, bro. And like I said, their scimitars are sharp because they watch the mothers do the same things that I watched them do. People get embarrassed when they say the wrong single word, and mother's going to show you you're not studied. We've seen it over and over again. We know all the tricks. We watch you come every 3 or 4 years. There's a wave, just like with me. Every 3 or 4 years, there's Moors running down the Moors Society Street. There's a European down there sitting on the porch and he's got a fez on. Yeah, that's Latif Ibn Bey. That's Latif, Muslim son. He been sitting under that fez for years. So like every 3 or 4 years, the Moors that are fresh out of their Pampers come running around talking about there's a European running around here. We got to get him out. No, it's Latif. He's been sitting under that fez for years and years and years. So yeah, I want to speak about the next demonstrations coming up. It's mostly going to be reviewing and compacting and compounding, consolidating all of the studies we've been doing, man. Indeed, that's what I'm working on now in regards to the almanac, is putting all these clips in the timeline order and putting them all the way down the line. But that's only getting done because someone contacted me and wanted to do it. Just like other Moors was like, can I take a hard drive and download all your videos? Feel free if that's what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? I have them. I have stuff that you've never seen. I probably got stuff that you'll never see. But I have everything recorded pretty much from 2012. And it's got to do with all these other different Moors too. But then like I put the community post up in regards to Jamal. With the Moorish Muslim world was awaiting a Moorish Messiah. And I put Noble Drew Ali up, and then I put the clipping in front of him and all that. And then Jamal took it and put Noble Drew Ali, and he put the clip up. He seen that the information was potent, And he didn't want to use the original post. He tried to make it like it was his, man. That was a very important key that I would like to be known for finding, because no one else found that. I dug for years and years to find that, and I found it, and it spoke of a Moorish Messiah, the intimation coming from Muhammad. And then this jackass wanted to take it and put it up and respin it. Like, man, I ain't even talked to him since he been released from jail. I done spoke on that more. I sent him notes when he was in jail. He got out and never even spoke to me, bro. And I sent him multiple messages. He done burnt bridges with all these other Moors that helped him too, man. But then him going and taking and putting up that post like that and not showing honors to the one who he seen it from, that's very distasteful and shows the integrity of his stuff is very low. Then he just put up a post talking about the Moors put the black people in slavery. Like, man, got Rami Remedial L emailing me at like 2:50 in the morning talking about, yeah, we on live, bring your people up on here. Like, don't nobody want to talk to you or engage any kind of BS with you, man. You've never been a studier, Rami. You've never been one to really be a scholar or studier or come with any information, Rami. You always go over the same stuff and the fundamental stuff over and over, but you've never been one to study, Rami. I bet you didn't even come with half of the stuff with the book that you did with Canaan Land Moors. You probably didn't even find none of that stuff. You never been a scholar, Rami, and you say it yourself. You don't want to know everything is what you said. You're supposed to want to study, bro. And the prophet said if he told you everything, you go back to sleep because you're being told, and man knows not by being told. But you supposed to know everything. You supposed to want to know and learn everything. It's different if you learn and know it. You are to be adept in all subjects. Islam, in honors to the Moor that just passed over, it just happened to be a full moon, and then this happened to that Moor. The Moor that passed when he was in his home and they shot his home up, that happened right before a full moon, and this one happened right after, you know. So honors to both of those Moors, because those Moors are together indeed. It's not the first time there been shootout with Moors, and it's not going to be the last. Again, it's not the first time there was shootout with Moors and mercenaries, and it's not going to be the last. So we were speaking about fruition. So one big part about the fruition was when they brought the books to the pod. They came and brought the books, and I reached out and just grabbed a book. And when I sat down, it was Dracula book. And when I opened it up, it was giving the true history about Kazaklu Bey, known as Dracul, you know. So I thought that was very strange that it was all speaking about when his family converted to Islam, known as Kazaklu Bey. When he died, they try to say that he dressed up in Moorish garbs on the battlefield because he was found wearing Moorish garbs. However, he sent his own son to be taught by the Moors. You know what I'm saying? So if the Moors was his enemies, why would Kazaklu Bey, as known in the Ottoman so-called empire scripts, as they say, why would he send his son off to the Moors to be taught? You know what I'm saying? If that was his enemy. But no, he was found in Moorish garbs when he was dead. So it was said either he was helping the Moors fight, or he dressed up in Moorish garbs to try to fool them on the battlefield, as they say. Because Muhammad was scared of Kazaklu Bey, as they say. Because he was putting heads up on, we'll go through Kazaklu Bey sometime soon, but he was making Muhammad throw up from the stuff he was doing. But we got a Bey fighting a Muhammad right there, Kazaklu Bey, who's known as Dracul. Radu the Handsome, Vlad the Impaler, Dracul. His dad was Dracul. However, this book was written by a man named Radu Floresk, which is a very mysterious man to Peter Moon. So this book was written by Radu Floresk. Should I have said that or not? A history of Dracul. And this is Wallachian. They went and found the Wallachian documents and went down all the way back to the Europeans that had hair all over their faces, all over their bodies like a wolf. You know what I'm saying? And this was Dracula by Radu Floresk. Peter Moon. Radu. Should I have said that or not? But yeah, It's crazy. That's the fruition for this book that I found, and I have it in my hand to this day. And it's the actual documents from the manuscripts of the Wallachians, from the so-called Byzantine, which is the Moorish Empire. They still had the manuscripts, man. And Peter Moon found them. Radu found them. It's got Wallachians in it, pale skins with fezzes, and they have rabbit skin titles where they say the Moors gave them titles to certain lands in Wallachian, and the elders that they have in this book has black fezzes on. I put up a demonstration, the Moorish Magi and the Celtic troglodytes, and I broke down where the troglodytes, they found the graveyard on the outside of the caves, and they was holding up golden circular wheels, and those golden circular wheels was in fact what the Celtics seen as Venus. Then I put up the post with Albert Pike speaking about Christianity started with the statue of Venus turning into the Virgin Mary. So everything surrounds Moorish science. The Moorish paradigm is all knowing and all living and all breathing spirit within all. Indeed, all one with Allah. I leave you in peace and love. Divine honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish divine and national movement of the world. The Mohammedans are looking for the advent of a Moorish Messiah. Indeed.